Now, it's not possible for us always to feel as engaged in our creative practice as Danny does in this moment, but if you're struggling to stay locked in and continue doing your best work, you need to know that you're not alone. A few weeks ago, I had a couple of subscribers discuss this sentiment in the comments and ask for some videos on the issue. And I knew these were powerful ideas because it immediately got me thinking about my own struggles and experience with this. So today, in this video, I'm going to look at 3 effective strategies that I think we can all use to manage this relationship and stay closer in touch with the passions that drew us all here in the first place.
It didn't happen to me till I got in my 30s, and that's when she started working.
My outerwear be Montclair. Bonjour, I'm out there.
I was definitely trying to be a rapper in high school, all of my 20s. But the raps that I was writing and the shit that I was saying, it was just me trying to sound good at rapping. I was just trying to be what my influences was at that time.
Yeah. I met shows with SUs and pestos, mind racing like best road.
So here we see Danny talking about how he broke through as an artist and how the opportunities started to come to him when he stopped copying others and recognised what was at the heart of his own individual creative drive. So the first question I want to use to help us goes along with this, and it's going to be about reconnecting with that unique creative spirit that we all have. So the question goes something like this: are you following your truest internal creative drive, or are you trying to copy the style or success of others? Maybe you're a singer-songwriter who's found themselves spending days inside of production software, tweaking your compression and trying to get your vocal chain to sound just right. Or a 3D designer who's struggling to hand draw unique rock formations when they never really liked drawing too much anyway. Now this one really hit for me because I've been here countless times, often catching myself as I follow a willingness to execute on a new idea, but end up moving clearly away from the heart of what I actually love to do in my work. Now sometimes it might take a lot of experimentation to get to that place that feels right again, or following the thread backwards to where our creative journey started out in the first place. Often we find that the place that we got lost is the time we started running towards the approval systems of others and forgetting what the true quality of our own individual expression feels like.
I'll never sit down and write a bar to be like, I hope hear this. I just literally try to get my fucking point across and make the whole thing as a whole, because like when I hear niggas like Biggie and shit like that, it's like, it's different. It's completely different.
Now getting back to the central heart of what we want to do creatively isn't always easy, but we can begin by asking ourselves a couple of simple questions. What practice allows us to enter into that flow state where time passes easily and we get lost in the work? And secondly, what process leaves us feeling both challenged and alive, but satisfied when we have finished a session or overcome a hurdle? Your work will have the best chance at connecting with others in a deep and valuable way, once we ourselves are able to align with our most true and internal passion to create.
For me to actually feel an idea and a concept, it has to come from me. And a lot of times I have to block out a lot of different needs and wants, you know, just for my own selfish reasons. But at the end of the day, it comes out where, you know, whether you like it or not, you know you're gonna know it comes from a real place. And it's gonna feel unapologetic, I'm not compromising, and it's gonna feel me.
So at the back end of this piece, I want to offer up a practical challenge that we can all take on to help us reconnect with our creative motivation. But first, let's take a look at the second question that I think can be helpful when we're feeling stuck with our work. Are you framing your creative success in the wrong way? Overestimating what you might achieve in a month and underestimating what you might achieve in a year or decade? Now I like this question particularly because it allows me to complain about one of my least favoured common phrases: life is short. To me, I always think if someone tells you life is short, it probably means they're trying to sell you something, because the fact of the matter is, when it comes to our ability to learn things, evolve our practice and move through deep work and project cycles, the creative life is actually very long, and each day on that road is better framed as a small but important cog as opposed to a space for some huge epiphany or creative breakthrough. To explore this idea of perspective further and help us understand our own creative journeys more holistically, let's take a look at Erykah Badu as she discusses the impact that culture and comparison can have on the way we frame our creative identity.
We can't help but compare ourselves. The ego needs an identity, and the identity lives by comparison. Well, I find myself in these rooms, and I also find myself able to open my eyes, and I don't have to stay there. That's the lesson for me. And I take it in everyday life. When I get these thoughts in my mind, I'm able to now discriminate between the thoughts that are going to take me to this place and don't.
Badu reminds us that we can all get stuck in limited mindsets where our own creative identities become marked out by the requirements of the popular culture in which we work. I personally remember being as young as 17 or 18 and already feeling like I'd missed the boat when it came to pursuing some of the things that drew me towards them in life. But artists like Erykah can help us realise that these limited constructions of time aren't so much reflections of reality as pressures coming out of a fear-based mindset, hyper-focused on the needs of society as opposed to our natural internal drive to create.
The only time I've ever seen you like really push back is when they would age shaming you.
I think it's so weird. I mean, it is. It's like Erykah Badu, 52, goes to the store. It's just weird how the world is set up because I don't see it. And I'm not programmable when it comes to that part.
For many of us, progression and demonstrating learning is of course an important part of staying motivated along our journey. But remember that when you spend time doing what you love, although it might seem like at moments you aren't actually getting better or changing or getting more approval and so on, your skills and achievements really will compound over the years. And looking back, this consistent and committed practice will be the real basis of any satisfaction and fruits that come from your work.
We don't do all the right things, and we don't know all the right things. We're so grateful for my art. That means balance and the mistakes that turn into our greatest lessons. We don't take this opportunity to grow for granted.
Right, now on to our final question and creative prompt. And a quick warning to say, this is perhaps the most uncomfortable to swallow, but it's been 100% true in my own creative practice. And if you did a statistical analysis of all the advice on the videos across this channel, I think this suggestion would be in the top 3 tips offered from the featured artists. So as for the question, I'm just going to put it simply here. When was the last time you stepped outside of your comfort zone with your art or creative process? Here I want to turn back to a quick story about my own journey again, and my attempt to learn piano in my late 20s. Now there's many things I could have done better in this process, but one thing I did recognise at the time was the importance of creating a stretch goal for myself that would use the approaching possibility of embarrassment and shame to force my learning process forward. Like a lot of major cities, in London we have a few street pianos that are peppered around the major landmarks, and early on in my practice I decided that I would work back from a 3-week goal to go and play on one of these for 10 minutes. Now whether that thought would actually raise your heart rate at all is probably down to your personality alone, but for me, I knew that push outside of my comfort zone would spark better learning and focus. And after I got through the experience, consisting mostly of me awkwardly running through some basic scales, I was genuinely beaming with happiness, energy, and focus on where I wanted to take the next steps of my practice.
It's really about me challenging myself. I think my excitement in doing music is me feeling like I'm never stagnant, stepping outside of my comfort zone and mastering it, you know, and that excites me. When I feel like I've accomplished that, it just keeps the hunger for more going. Like I don't feel I can ever stop.
What Kendrick and many other successful artists on this channel remind us is that the comfort zone isn't a barrier that we can just break through once and be all good. These fear-based boundaries have to be consistently identified and pushed against in our practice if we are to feel at our most free and satisfied with the work. As for a couple of other tips on overcoming these boundaries, I recommend remembering that it's not about waiting for the perfect conditions to step out and do that uncomfortable thing, because that moment will never come. And when you do have a large fear in front of you, don't overwhelm yourself by facing it all head on. Whatever that fear is, you do have the opportunity to break it up into manageable steps and overcome each of these one at a time to build up to that wider breakthrough you're looking for.
To like sing is like scary, you know what I mean? Like cause I'm not a singer, but like my main instrument is my voice, so like I have to learn and use it in as many ways as possible.
That's dope.
And I've been doing it so much in the privacy of my own like studio setup and just not putting it out. It's only like so much talking about it you can do. You just have to do it and see what happens.
With all these videos, I'm looking to create some linking threads, and perhaps with these ideas, it's our ability to stay aware of external pressures such as approval and irrational fear of judgment that can muddy the true joys and passion of our creative practice. Now I'm going to put a video on the screen now from a few weeks ago that looks at cultivating that awareness with our work and the host of techniques that can lead us back to our best creative practice. With that said, thanks for watching this piece, and if you like the music, don't forget to support the artists from this community that have helped soundtrack it, or check the link out below if you want to send me your own work. Good luck with whatever you're working on at the moment, and see you next week for more Creative Minds.
That's tight. Thanks, man.